Let's break the video down and discuss what this means with Christopher Anzalone. He's a research fellow at the Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs at Harvard University, and he joins us now from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Christopher, thanks for being with us. What conclusions have you drawn from this video?
So the video is interesting for a number of reasons. First, Baghdadi talks about very recent events, as you noted. He talks about Sri Lanka. He also talks about a failed attack by ISIS militants in Zulfi in Saudi Arabia, north of Riyadh, the capital Riyadh, on the same day, April 21st. And he highlights that attack, even though it didn't succeed. And in addition to that, in some of the footage later on in the film, he is looking at a number of reports from the different so-called provinces that Islamic State has declared. And we see among those reports a report about Central Africa, which Islamic State just announced as a new province, quote unquote, on April 18th. So the footage seems to be quite recent with regard to what he's talking about. He also highlights,
do you think it's actually him in the video?
It seems to be. Yes, it does seem to be Baghdadi himself and not a stand-in. In terms of both, I mean, his look has changed, but his voice, at least to the naked ear, seems to be the same. To be him, to be the same person.
So, Christopher, if this is Baghdadi, it would, of course, be the first time that we've seen the terror group's leader since he declared the so-called caliphate at the Al-Nouri Mosque in Mosul in Iraq. The group has largely been territorial defeated since that, but the ideology, of course, that led to its creation is still there. Real or fake, how dangerous is it rather, for this kind of video to even exist?
So it is. I think the real danger comes from, and the real importance to members of the group, of the militant group, are that since this is the first visual proof that Baghdadi is still alive, there have been audio messages since 2014, but no visual proof, if you will, that he is alive. And particularly given the big defeats in Syria and eastern Syria over the last 6 months or so, it was important from ISIS's perspective to present its leader not only as being alive, but also as being engaged. And so this footage of him meeting with his council and discussing, it seems, events in the Caucasus, events in Turkey and Somalia, in other places outside of Syria and Iraq is quite symbolically important for the ISIS brand.
So there have been questions, Christopher, for some time now that, reports that he was killed in a Russian airstrike, that he may have been killed in Syria. There's been a lot swirling around. The U.S., of course, has vowed to defeat all of the leaders of Daesh. But I guess, how important is it for somebody like Baghdadi, for the U.S. to be able to defeat someone like that? How critical is that to the ideology of the group and just, I guess, the propaganda of it all?
So symbolically, Baghdadi is very important as a symbol of Daesh's sort of ideology. Killing him would not kill the ideology. The ideology is bigger than him. But symbolically, taking him out would be quite a loss, both propaganda, in terms of propaganda, as well as to the ISIS rank and file. And so that it wouldn't solve the issue of the ideology, but it would be a big loss symbolically to the group, because they've invested him, unlike past leaders. Yep.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead and finish your thought, Christopher.
No, because unlike past leaders, he is the quote unquote the caliph. So losing him, their first caliph, if you will, would be even more important than the leaders that they've lost in the past, like Zarqawi and others.
Christopher Anzalone, really appreciate you being with us. Thanks for your thoughts.